Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
It is.
Make sure you pick your nose, Beaver, before we go live. Yeah. Oh, it starts. First thing you see is Beaver fucking laying Burt Reynolds on a bed. All right. Share the link, fuckers. I'll tag you.
I'm on my phone, so I can't.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll tag you, Benny.
Well, use your iPad, dude. That's what I'm using. It's great.
Oh, nice tits.
It's broke. The screen cracked.
Yeah, who knew cocaine residue would eat through an iPad screen?
It hasn't fucked mine up yet. I don't know. I'd keep a watch out for that.
I don't know about cocaine, but mine's got a lot of jizz stains on it.
Cocaine and beer rings.
Yeah. God forbid you get a fucking ring on your coffee table. So just put the.
Yeah, I know. Put them on my. Fuck it. It's pretty good. Matthew?
What's that?
Pretty good.
Porter, Coke. Does it taste like coconut?
Yeah.
Shit.
There it is.
What's
there
that?
She is, man.
There she is. There she blows.
Whoa, there she goes. She's a man eater. That's my new fucking shit right now, too, by the way.
What's that?
Man eater.
Slayer.
Man
I don't know.
You're
I don't know how
many shark, and you go around just fucking eating people. And
I don't know how many. I don't know how many live viewers we'll get because our picture for our show is Beaver laying down on his bed. But like, you know, we're gonna pass on today's episode.
It's just like the sexy what's his name from Jurassic Park when he's laying down on the table.
Yeah. Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I
He put on his Jurassic Park shirt.
Oh yeah.
And here it goes.
Wow. Everything just came to me there. You guys ready? Yeah, I've been coming. Recording. Cool. Nice. And three.
Let me put my BLM shirt on.
Oh, did you get one last night?
No.
I got a lot of questions, Bob. All right. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Downtown Indy's in disarray. I made a spontaneous trip to Florida, and somebody on this live feed got a hooker last week. Welcome to Highly Inappropriate. Beaver, is that a baby?
Not for me.
Due to the graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to Highly Inappropriate.
I don't think she's going to be expecting something big, do you? What, like anal?
Whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
Highly Inappropriate. Inappropriate.
Right, so let me get this straight. So I'm going to pay for a blowjob and I got to pay for a goddamn hotel room too?
So
That just seems like I'm spending too much money for nothing. I got a house. You can just get your ass over here and I can just do the blowjob here.
Highly inappropriate.
English, motherfucker. Do you speak it?
They can kiss my fat vagina, because I'm bringing the motherfucking pay.
Welcome to Highly Inappropriate. We are back, baby. And unfortunately, it's been 2 weeks since we had a show, and that's because I randomly made a trip to Florida about 2 weeks ago, and we're going to talk about that today. Also, fucking not just Indianapolis, but cities all across the country are in absolute disarray right now. Got some crazy shit going on.
world.
So. The world, everywhere,
Yeah.
everywhere. It's unbelievable. Like nothing I've ever seen in my life. And I'm going to tell you my crazy conspiracy theory involved in all this, and it's not quite a conspiracy because there's a lot of truth to it. So, joining me today, first and foremost, Duckman. What's up, buddy?
Hey there, guys. How you doing?
Good, man. So you're back in the workforce officially. You're back working,
Yeah, last like 2 weeks.
and you haven't got COVID yet.
No, I don't think so. I guess you can have underlying symptoms and not really know, but taking
Including
temperatures, so we
take
should
it-
be good.
Great, and you actually told that you think one of the symptoms now is your poop is now glowing in the dark, correct?
Yeah, but I think that was just the Fruit Loops from this morning.
Fruit Loops and Mountain Dew. Good call. Nice.
Yeah,
And
figured it out.
Beaver back laying Burt Reynolds style. Does that help you thinking today, Beaver, or what?
I don't think, Matthew, you know that already.
You don't care? Now, where's your cats at in this picture?
Out of the picture.
Do you enjoy when your cats lick you with like that sandpaper tongue, or
Sure. We'll see.
Who's-
Yes.
whose tongue feels better, your cat's tongue or Rob?
I'm gonna leave that no comment.
I got a lot of Rob's tongue last week, and I'm gonna have to say your cat's got to have a pretty good tongue to beat that. Speaking of tongues, we got a 6'8" redhead on the show today. What's up, Rob?
Hi.
Rob, you have a big part today. That's all I'm gonna say.
He's a new.
Hey,
He's a new fix
bigger
here at the
than
show.
bigger than the Lil Nas X episode.
No, I'm telling you right now, you're going to. I mean, you're starting to gain a little fan, and when this video comes out, Rob, I'm telling you, you're gonna get a little fan base because you have some nuggets in this fucking. And for those of you guys don't know, it's like I decided to take a spontaneous trip to Florida. I've talked several weeks about my shows getting, or not my shows, but my trips this year getting canceled because of the stupid fucking virus. Because I wanted to start a video log of like traveling, and so like I randomly decided to leave for Florida. Bought a GoPro. We're going to talk about that. But Rob, let's get into the obvious. The world's in fucking massive disarray. And I get a text yesterday during my first wedding since all this bullshit happened. Duncan texts me, and Duncan, so what did you see yesterday on Facebook?
What did I see? What do you mean?
Yeah, that you sent me. You screenshotted yesterday. You're watching the live feed of the riots going on.
I watched this live feed of this gentleman for like the last 2 nights,
Yeah, Christopher.
And I see Rob in the chat a little bit. And I'm like, oh, Rob's watching too,
Yeah.
Then next thing I know, he's like walking down through this dude's
Over
walking
to the
like
Whole
middle of
Whole Foods
And
market on
Indy, and I hear Christopher, and
Georgia.
I can tell it's Rob's voice instantly. And I go, is that fucking Rob? And then the camera turns around, and this guy's like, hey, what up, bro? And then Rob daps him up and live on the stream, and I fucking instantly screenshot it and send it to you. I said, is Rob downtown right now?
You know what's funny is like Rob, you weren't I didn't know your was off or okay, where the fuck is he? And the next thing I know, Chris texts me, says, is Rob downtown? I'm like, oh, I sure the fuck hope so. Let's So Rob, first off, describe how you ended up downtown and kind of what the scene was like.
So Elliot Beaver dropped me off at Trey Grubb's place. We go to another guy's place, and And then we pick him up, and then we end up going downtown. We end up picking him up, going downtown. And,
all right, hold on. We got to stop just real quick.
Yeah,
You can't.
rewind.
I'm just saying you
Is that when
can't.
your iPad broke?
Yeah, you can't. You can't pause like that. I mean, you could have. I mean, there's several things that could have happened at that other house. You could have. You could have just got drunk with friends. You
hey,
could have.
so
You could have had an orgy.
We got this
Oh,
place,
man.
and we started getting ammo and shit. I was like, "Holy shit, this shit is going down." Loaded up 2 shotguns and some pistols and shit. And
Nice.
The guy that we picked up had a backpack full of fucking ammo.
Did somebody give you a Derringer to shoot, or like a fucking paintball gun, or?
Yeah, they gave me a weapon. So
Nice.
yeah,
A bow and arrow. See, I would go downtown with like the most fucking crazy. I would go with like shooting stars or something, you know.
no, I
Or throwing stars.
I ordered Luke Skywalker's lightsaber offline. I just took that downtown.
I could go downtown with some nunchucks. Okay. So you ammoed up.
So we got to the stop at on 65 where Washington is.
Yep.
Go under the overpass and it's blocked off. We had to turn around. So we go to the alleyway, just a street north of Washington, and then we were able to get downtown on that street.
Right.
And we got there. We parked over by the Whole Foods Market on Georgia. That's where the police were all lined up from getting people to the circle because, you know, Georgia heads straight to the circle.
Right.
And then as soon as we got to the intersection, fucking 5 shots popped off.
Nice.
Of tear gas. Pop, 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 pop.
So you got tear gas yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Now from your
just like the gas chamber in the military.
So we're going to talk about this a little bit because I've seen a lot of reports that rioting did not start until the police started firing off tear gas. Now, can you confirm, deny, or do you have no idea?
I have no idea.
Okay. All right. Well,
I think that was like 2 days on Friday night.
No,
That's
I mean,
I've seen live.
You seen live?
Yeah, I watched it live. But at the same time, I think there's people down there that are trying to. They want it to happen. I think. Like
100%.
There's definitely 2 different groups, and they were being peaceful, and people started. They threw some stuff, and the leader of the other groups were calling them out, telling them to stop, and they threw something else, and then boom, the tear gas got shot off.
Yeah. But the guy that we picked up went across the street and talked to the police officer. That's why I made that post last night, and then it got fucking destroyed by these people that work with the police.
What'd you say?
The cop literally told him, yeah, 2 cops got shot, and now all this chaos is breaking loose in downtown right now. That's what the cop literally said to us.
Really?
And then I posted about it, and this girl that works for the sheriff's office in Marion County, she's like this, no cops have been shot. Stop spreading lies.
Well, didn't they confirm the 2 cops were shot?
She said 2 cops were shot at.
Oh.
They weren't shot. So, and then what when the guy passed Christopher, we followed him over to the alleyway where he was going down to get downtown.
Yep.
We went to the next street over just north of Georgia. I don't know what street that is, but we went over there, and we went over the corner on the next intersection west, and there's a liquor store on the corner right there.
Been Maryland and Illinois.
Yeah, so we got there. Liquor store was broken into, and all these guys were like, hey, yo, liquor store open. Get your shit now, homie.
Oh, Jesus.
So, yeah, we saw like 60 to 70 people rushing into the liquor store. And they said right before we got there, they heard pops being shot inside the liquor store. So people were trying to argue over the high-priced Henny bottle.
Let's go.
Yeah, that was locked in the lock case.
And you said somebody handed you Hypnotic?
Yeah, they walked down the street and they're like, "Hey, bro, you thirsty?"
Which
I
is
was like, "Sure." He was like, "Here you go, bro."
Which is funny because you literally are the whitest person downtown Indy last night.
Yeah.
They hand you Hypnotic. Rob comes home with Hypnotic and Hennessy, makes some Incredible Hawks for all of us. Oh man! So I mean, what was the craziest thing you said you seen last night, other than the liquor store being robbed? You said dumpster fires were on fire everywhere. Dumpsters were literally on fire everywhere.
Craziest thing? I don't know. Probably we did see the bank right there at the intersection next to right across the street from the liquor store.
Yep.
They did take a bat and just start beating in the windows. And then they yelled, "Bank's open now."
Yeah, they ain't getting in that vault.
Yeah, you ain't getting shit out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. No chance there. Good luck.
And this guy, when we were heading back to our vehicle, this guy had a dumpster that I saw it at the liquor store. I didn't know what he was doing with it, but he ended up filling the entire dumpster full of liquor bottles.
I'm just picturing some drunk asshole rolling down the street in a fucking dumpster, but there's no hills in Indy. I would love to take a big ass dumpster down a hill. I mean, to me, that is rioting right there. Especially if you take out like fucking 30 people that are rioting on the street with your dumpster. I mean, so you guys ready for my huge conspiracy theory? And I know you're going to weigh in on this, Duncan. You've been very vocal about your stance on this. So America locks us up. Basically, the government locks us up in our house for 2 months over a virus that is heavily inflated. We never even got real numbers from China about how many people have been infected, how many people have died, etc. I said from the beginning, the cost of closing down this country will far outweigh the people that have died from the disease. Now, I'm not saying the disease is fake, or excuse me, the virus is fake, because obviously many people have died. People that I know personally have died from it. Well, I don't know personally, but through a friend. And, but it only affects a certain amount of people. And it's always been exaggerated how dangerous, how fast it spread, etc. And I honestly think a lot of us have been in contact with it or have had it already, because I was definitely sick in December with all the symptoms of COVID-19, including the dry cough, feeling awful, tired, fever. I had a fever like on and off for a month. It was incredible. And I'm convinced I've had it. So when they started rolling out these antibody tests so they could test people to see if they've had it or not yet, and once those numbers got released, they realized that the death rate is no higher than the flu. So they essentially locked up America. So right now, do you understand that the unemployment rate? Yeah, for nothing. The unemployment rate is as high as it was during the Great Depression. So we pretty much sent the country into depression. And this is not something like, I know Trump gets on TV and says, yeah, the economy's doing great, we're rebounding. This is going to last for years, people. You don't understand, because in order to build up the economy, you have to establish trust in the economy first. And trust that, if you've ever been cheated on, trust is not something that just reappears the next day. It has to be built over time. And so what does the country do? We lock us in the house for 2 months. We're going crazy. People like me, fucking crazy. Graham, I'm not psychotic. I'm not looting anything. I'm not shooting anybody. But as far as like being locked in your house and losing your job, you can literally fucking go insane. So all we need literally is we have this nice little fire. We have all this kindling in a fire right now. And what do? We pour gasoline on it by lighting us, by sitting us in our house. And guess what was the fucking match that just set this country crazy?
George Floyd, which honestly, one of the most disgusting things I've ever watched in my life. Yeah. And what pisses me off, like, I don't have a great relationship with cops. I have several friends that are cops. I think they're awesome people. I know a lot of awesome people that are cops. But as far as like my
personal experiences with cops are more negative than positive. And I'm rarely a person that's going to disrespect you first, you know, like I just, it's just not my character. But I mean, a lot of cops are just fucking rude right off the bat, treat you like shit, etc. I was pulled out of my car for running a yellow downtown Indy one day. They searched my car. They stole my buddy's fucking money clip that his dad had custom made for him. Like, I mean, just, you know, random small shit. Like, and I'm not saying, you know, a majority of cops are bad. That's not the case at all. I actually think it's always a few rotten apples that spoil the whole bunch, just like it's a few rotten apples that spoil a peaceful protest, you know, like, but so we got to talk.
Get me started on military police.
Yeah. I mean, they
think they're even better than regular police.
It's just it's fucking insane. Like, and the video is disgusting. And here's where the conspiracy theorist in me comes out. You as a cop have to know that you are completely scrutinized for every fucking thing you do. And you're sitting there with a guy who's yelling, "I can't breathe," with a person 10 feet in front of you yelling, "He can't breathe, let him up," with a fucking cell phone record at you. How can you not have self-awareness, not to just change, you know, your hold on the dude or whatever it may be? Like, It just seems real fucking sketchy to me. I'm not, you know, like, I'm not ready to commit to saying it was set up, but it seems real fucking sketchy. So there you got
the guy in Indy. I mean, they knew he had his cell phone out recording the entire shit. And then when they tased him and then they shot him, they knew he had his cell phone out recording.
Well, didn't they say he shot at them first?
They said, when they came up and saw the tase, they were like this. Dude, who tased him? Dude, that was a good tase, bro.
Yeah.
Closed casket, I guess, huh?
Yeah, it's fucked up. I mean, I seen a funny statistic the other day. In order to be a hairdresser, it requires 1,200 hours of training to be a hairdresser. It only requires 300 to be a cop.
It requires like 3 months of training to be a soldier.
Yeah.
300 hours and a little dick. It's all it takes.
All you got to do is be picked on in high school.
Yeah, and to be picked on in high school and be a complete fucking cocksucker.
Be a complete fucking cocksucker. No, I 100% agree with you, man. So you got that incident, which is, it's fucking disgusting. Like, you know, and I take all these police killings on a case by case basis because trust me, I'm a libertarian. The whole basis of being a libertarian is the non-aggression principle. We do not believe in aggression unless invoked on first, you know? So like, if I'm a cop and somebody's shooting at me, or I really feel like my life's in danger, I do not feel bad for somebody dying if they're, you know, trying to harm somebody first and foremost. But what I saw with George Floyd was absolutely disgusting. His complete lack, just a lack for life. I mean, just
for fraud checks.
For fraudulent fucking checks, man. Like, and there's no evidence that this guy fought back. I mean, why the fuck's he on the ground in the first place? You know, like, were they intimidated because he was a large man? He was like 6'6", I believe. It's, you know, it's disgusting. So I was vocal.
No video of the before, is there?
No, I mean, I haven't seen much, but I've read some stuff. But granted, you can never trust the fucking meeting. Like I said, you got to take all these in a complete
video. There's a video before.
Yeah. I have not seen it, but
yeah, he's not resisting whatsoever.
Yeah. So absolutely disgusting. But, you know, I think you have to take all these by case basis. So George Floyd is the fucking fire.
Well,
is the match.
Another thing you can't do is like hire or train your 3 cops from Rushville, Indiana.
Yeah, what are those motherfuckers doing? Go ahead. No, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the guys that are staying, you know, and not in something or you know, just kind of standing around while this guy's fucking dying, you know, like.
No, all I'm saying is you can't take cops from like Rushville or Carthage or wherever the fuck and give them their 1 week of training and then unload them on 46th and Post on patrol.
Yeah.
You can't put people like if they're not acclimated, if they've never even been around, you know, black people are never even been around that culture or anything. They're going in scared off the jump. They're scared and intimidated.
And you have no knowledge of the culture. You don't know how to even approach.
Can't do it. Yeah. That's one of the biggest issues I think too when it comes down to all this stuff.
Yeah,
there's
there has
good
to.
cops and there's bad cops.
Yeah, there's
the
great
bad
cops.
Outweigh the good cops, obviously.
Yeah.
And one of I forget who it was I seen that said it. Maybe it was like Chris Rock or something. He was like, unfortunately, there are good cops and bad cops, but being a cop is kind of like being an airline pilot. You can't have good airline pilots and bad airline pilots. Like, every airline pilot has to be good. You know,
he's like, yeah, I think our pilot's gonna land us safely, but who knows?
Yeah, I think we got one of the good ones. You know what I mean? Like, that can't be the issue. Like, it's, unfortunately, that's not. Unfortunately, that can't be the issue. They can't have that.
No, I mean, like you have to. I think you have to have some sort of psychology training too, because at the same time, like you got to know, like you said, you got to know who you're dealing with and know how to treat people. Like I can't tell you how many experiences I've had with cops where just right off the bat they're fucking rude. And it's like, what the hell are you going 12 miles per hour the speed limit? Like, well, sir, there's nobody on the fucking road. That was probably a, like.
That's the thing. White people, they stereotype bald because my dad.
Yeah.
I mean, he's bald. But also all the fucking tattoos, he has.
Yep, your dad's obviously a gangster.
Stereotyped so fucking much. He walks out of Walmart and they want to check his receipt, and he's like this: "If you don't think I bought it, call the fucking cops then." And just walks the fuck out.
Oh,
he's like,
awesome.
"Fuck you guys." I'm like, that's some bullshit. They just think he's a fucking biker ass dude, and he's just gonna steal everything.
No, I mean, and trust me, I dealt with growing. I mean, these are small town cops. Small town cops are the worst of the worst. But
the worst of the worst are the fucking volunteer cops. Like, yeah, very hard.
Oh
they
man,
have no training and are in like fucking hockey pants out here trying to patrol streets, shooting at unarmed kids that robbed a little Pavy's gas station for chewing tobacco. Come on.
I mean, I would have to deal with. Growing up in Morristown, I would have to deal with anytime I had a party, they would literally just sit at the end of the road, just waiting to pull people over. Like that's not, to me, that's not what the police are for. One of the two
cops.
Yeah, one of the two cops. It was always the one, you know.
Critipo.
Yeah, it was always the one.
The one that everyone hated, even though he's just doing his job.
Yep. But, I mean, my complete stance on cops, I think they should work like firemen. They shouldn't patrol the streets looking for trouble. They should come when called upon. I mean, I'm a very radical person when it comes to crime. I don't think speeding is a crime. If there's no victim, if nobody's injured, if I'm not stealing anything from anybody, it's not a crime. And that's why I think drugs should be legal. But, okay. We'll get to that and how drugs negatively affect the black. I mean, I could literally have a 3-hour podcast on this shit. I mean, I'm not even joking. Just go on and on. But
what do you think?
RJ doesn't have the time for that. Okay.
No, right. What were you saying, Duggan?
Nothing. I'll go ahead. I don't want to change subject.
No, because I was just gonna say. I mean, I could go on and on about this shit because it's really deep rooted. I mean, like there's just so much. Like it was so funny. Chris Spangle, who has the We Are Libertarians podcast, tweeted out today, and I thought I retweeted. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Was when NWA came out with "Fuck the Police" in 1988. Tipper and Al Gore's response. They could have, because it kind of put in light in a sense. Police brutality. It was like the first thing that really put in light police brutality as far as a quote unquote entertainment, whatever. I can't talk 'cause I'm high, but you get it. But
number one stream song in America right now.
Is it really?
Oh, dude, you can see it downtown. Every fucking car. Fuck the police.
That's awesome. I played it at my graduation party when they busted my graduation party. Little cop.
I used to crank it out of my Camaro and drive by my buddies and never pulled over in town all the time. Cops and nice time hated me.
But what I was saying,
I
was gonna let me finish this because Tipper and Al Gore's response to "Fuck the Police" was, "We're gonna put parental advisory stickers on CDs. We're not gonna do anything. We're not gonna do anything for police brutality. We're gonna put parental advisor stickers on CDs." That is government in a nutshell. And this is what
Two Life Crew had a lot to do with that also.
Hi.
Oh yeah, any gangster rapper. But like here, I mean, here's where I am. Here's where I am going to call out my African American brothers and sisters, and that's that a majority of them vote Democrat. I challenge them to look into what Democratic policies have gotten them, and that's continued poverty, generation over generation. And I challenge them to vote third party. If you want real change in this fucking country, we have to disrupt the power system. That's all there is to it. You got to quit doing what you've been doing for years. I know.
I want to also put out there
Libertarian.
that last night while watching that the stream and everything, almost every fire that I seen set live was by a white male. So
Well,
okay, that's put that out there too.
That's where I was getting, because honestly,
and at the end of the night, when it was worse than it was, there was more white people than black people.
Well,
so
here's what
put that out there too.
Here's why I'm convinced it's a conspiracy. Okay, or it's not a conspiracy, but it is a it's set up in a way, and that is because, like you said, all the news is reporting on the bad. You know, it's nothing about the peaceful, because there was a lot of peaceful protests that happened last night. So nobody's reporting on the bad. The fact that all the a majority of the fires were set by white people. A lot of the businesses were obstructed by white people. And a lot of people have said they've seen on Craigslist where they were hiring not crisis actors, but I think it was like protesters, professional protesters. Excuse me. Sorry, I just smacked the microphone. And it to me, it just seems like in order to fit a narrative, a government agency, whether it's a CIA, whatever it may be, somewhere something is setting this up to make black people look worse than a lot of people already view them, to fit a narrative, you know, to keep driving the hatred in the media, to keep, you know, like.
Honestly, I think it's been like that forever.
Oh, 100%.
We're just now seeing it because of today's technologies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if it wasn't for like Facebook Live, I would have woke up and thought that African Americans burnt down Indianapolis last night.
Yeah,
right.
That's what I was told. I would have thought that no white people were there. That's how I would have thought.
Yeah.
I watched his video.
Oh, I second that.
Lying. It was more white than black towards the end of the night when it was bad.
Yeah.
And he comes around the circle, and there are two white kids that, look like IUPUI students, clean-cut white kids with probably 55 polos over their arm from TJ Maxx, I'm assuming, and just set a construction site on fire by the circle.
Oh, I'm convinced.
Against the wall,
I'm convinced they're hired.
Christopher White for doing those live videos downtown, because he reported better than any other live video I've ever fucking seen downtown.
I think he did 100%.
Rob,
White really gave it to us.
Rob, since you actually introduced yourself to him yesterday, I think you should reach out to him and try to get him on the show next week.
Right.
I would love to chat with him.
Yeah.
But I'm convinced that it was set up. I'm convinced it was set up to push a narrative. And like you said, yes, it has been going on forever. I mean, do you understand the whole reason, or a big reason, that marijuana is illegal in this country is because certain politicians thought that it made white women have sex with black men? Like,
oh yeah,
it's no fucking joke. And if you don't believe me, look it up. It's fucking real.
And they want that BBC instead of the little white dick.
And this stuff's never going to change, and it's not going to change overnight. Like, you're not going to wake up and it change. It's going to take forever. But the beginning steps of it to change are people like us, not just sitting in the back and being quiet and watching the whole time.
Well,
it takes everybody to stand up and voice their voice, I think. And until people become outraged by something that doesn't affect them immediately, like personally, it'll never change. It's never going to change.
Yeah, and I do want to say one thing to people that are either one side or the other. It is completely okay to be pissed off about the murder, and also being pissed off that a city that you love is being destroyed.
Yeah.
And I do not support the people that say, you know, they have a right to protest however you want. I don't believe in any circumstance you have the right to rob somebody or rob property that's not yours. And also, you never have the right to take somebody's life, in my opinion, unless life is harmed.
The one that really hit me hard was the video of Houston.
Oh, the guy getting
that guy was protecting his fucking business, and then they just fucking beat him to an inch of his fucking life.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Over what?
The line
That's
is
completely.
here. They're all the way the fuck over here.
Yeah. I mean, to me, if it, like that completely just erases your message, like the whole message that Black Lives Matter, saying that Black lives are just as important as everybody else, and you go out and take somebody else's life to protest that means your
Just
message.
because he's there protecting his business. It's like
I'm not trying to
he's
stick
doing
up for
nothing
this
against
act.
you guys.
What's that?
I'm not trying to stick up for this act or anything else. Don't take this the wrong way, but who are we to say that last month there wasn't an altercation between that business owner and you know what I mean? We don't know.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Now, what I mean, the thing is, the whole. I get what you're saying if they looted, like a racist fucking business owner, but it's not that they looted everything last night, like everything they could.
Yeah.
And Rob, was Kilroy's destroyed? Did they do anything to Kilroy's?
I have not heard. I know real close to Kilroy's, O'Reilly's, I believe, and Tin Roof was destroyed. I have two friends that own Coach's Tavern, and they stood outside their place of business yesterday. Which, by the way, if you own a business downtown and you did not protect your storefront, that's frustrating to me. Like I feel like I would stand out there.
Holcomb is only protecting state-owned properties. That's disregard.
State-owned, and
they're only protecting state-owned properties.
And let me rephrase that.
Go downtown and protect it.
Let me rephrase that.
Life and Lucas Oil.
Well, I mean, because those are technically state-owned. They're owned by the CIB here in town. But no, I mean, it's crazy. It's a crazy world. We can only pray it gets better. If prayer's not your thing, you get it. Just hope for better and be a better person. I think one of my favorite sayings in this world is be the change you wish to see in this world. So if you want people to be more passionate, show more love to people, I think it starts with you. Be more passionate, show more love, be nicer to people, and just, be aware of what's going on.
And I know, like, on this show, we can be very line crossers.
Very cutting edge.
Way to put it.
Open.
Easy way to put it.
But we're all very open-minded people.
And we will joke around with not racism, but what's the word? Stereotype stuff.
No, absolutely.
That's how we are. But
white people can't jump.
White people catch it too from us all the time. But in times like this, know that we are open-minded individuals, and we.
I mean, we're always open-minded. We just have a sense of humor.
Exactly.
Exactly.
This stuff had me heated, dude. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I watched the video. I woke up this morning and watched the video, like a minute video on Twitter of like a 36-year-old black gentleman trying to calm down like a 48-year-old black gentleman.
You shared that.
And it pulls the 16. Dude, I shed a tear. Like that shit's powerful. Like that's.
Were you high when you shed the tear?
No, I'm just saying it's got me fired up, man.
Oh no, man. Me too, man.
When they started defacing military monuments, it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, that's too much. I mean,
the monument, the downtown Soldiers and Sailors. The crazy part about that, I was watching a news feed on day one, Friday night. And there was people in the comments saying, burn the fucking monument down. That has nothing to do with Black lives. Then I go to research it so I don't look like a fucking idiot. But come to find out the Soldiers and Sailors Monument has names from Civil War, the Mexican War, the Revolutionary War, and Black lives have participated in every fucking war we've had. And their names are on that fucking monument. That's the thing. It's like, you gotta burn down a monument that you say doesn't portray Black lives, but it does. That monument is showing your guys' freedom.
Yeah, and representing soldiers that are black.
That died for the Emancipation Proclamation.
So I do want to get to the funny stuff sometime this episode. I don't want to be a complete fucking downer, but I would. I had a. No, well, yeah, that's gonna come too, Rob. I just,
no mood to laugh.
You're in no mood to laugh.
I'm fucking around.
No, yeah, you're always in the mood to laugh, but no, I just think we all have to be better people. And the one last thing I'm gonna say is what does piss me off about today's culture is if you see a cop doing bad and your first reaction is to pull out a fucking cell phone, I think that shows a lot about society.
But at the same time, if that cell phone was never pulled out,
right, we would know about.
Be on patrol right now.
Yeah, it'd just be real hard for me.
If Floyd's death was never recorded on a cell phone, he would still be patrolling Minneapolis right now, I bet.
Not true, but I'm saying it would be real hard for me to not, if I see a guy really struggling for his life, not to go boot that guy in the fucking face. I mean,
and what's sad about it, you do something like that, you're going to be in the same position that he's in.
Fuck it. If it saves a guy's life, you know,
I agree. I'm past the fuck it too. I feel you.
Yep.
No, I'm just giving you like.
I completely understand.
You see a guy outside treating a woman wrong, you're not fucking stand up, you know?
Yeah.
Get the fuck away from her, you fucking prick.
It's just like
he's not a cop.
It's just like when I
off his neck, you fucking pig.
When I see a fight break out of a bar, my first reaction is not to pull out a cell phone; it's to break the fucking fight up. You know, like I don't understand. I just don't understand the mentality of today's. And like you said, you know, if it never got recorded, we wouldn't be going on. Blah blah blah. I completely get that. I just don't get today's culture. I feel like more could have been done to save this guy's life and avoided this, you know, massive tragedy. And trust me, like you said, he would still be a guy like that is going to get caught.
Wait till it comes out and he's not convicted. You think it's bad now? Wait till they try to say that.
No, I don't think
that he wasn't killed by him.
There's no way.
They're already saying that the autopsy is showing that it was not strangulation or whatever.
That he died of natural cause. Yeah.
It wasn't asphyxiation that killed him. That's what the autopsy said.
Yeah, and they're trying to get a private autopsy or whatever you call it, like the family, where you can request your own.
Right.
That's another thing. The family does not condone what people are doing right now in his name. They say Floyd would not.
They don't
rioting
condone,
and destroying cities.
Yeah, no, either does BLM or either does the people that really want to fucking change. The protesters, they don't condone it either. I watched videos for 2 nights in a row of them trying to stop them from doing it. I don't know.
All right, well,
what's the group? What's the group that Trump just labeled terrorists?
Antifa. It stands for anti-fascist, but these are the cunts that have went all over the country and fucking destroyed college campuses just because Republican speakers have been there. Antifa's a bunch of white. They're basically label themselves as anarchists, but me as a guy who's a minarchist, not a complete anarchist, they're not anarchists. They're just fucking cunts that want to watch the world burn. And I mean, they're shitty people. And do
you think they were downtown last night?
Likely, yeah, absolutely, yeah, because they're completely. I mean,
did you see the
videos? Broke into the bar, the liquor store.
Did you see the video? Well, no, that was white people. I watched the Circle Center Mall when he got broken into was a white gentleman with a bat, breaks down the windows, pulls the thing on, and then disappears, like to let everybody else in. I'm telling you, dude, some shit is so fucking sketchy about all this.
I'm telling you, that's why I have this conspiracy theory. But now all right, I gotta ask. So we know. So they think that George Floyd didn't die from asphyxiation. But speaking of asphyxiation, Rob, did you choke the hooker at all? Was that allowed, or did you have to pay extra for that?
A little bit.
Did you give her a little love tap or two?
Oh, yeah, it is.
All right, so I got to tell you guys just what happened. So I had my daughter 2 weeks ago.
Oh, my God.
I drop her off. I drop her off at her mom's house. I'm sitting here just chilling, enjoying my best life. And, you know, just really like, man, I've been super stressed lately. Like, I need a new environment. I need to get the fuck out. I've been kind of flirting with the idea of getting an Airbnb in like Indy for the weekend, or, you know, just getting away, just seeing like a different environment for a few days. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine. Her name's Catherine, on Instagram, about how she just traveled basically across the United States and went and done things that don't really cost money, or that she can actually still do during a pandemic. I was like, man, I'd really like to get away, just go to the ocean for a few days. And I said, fuck it. I'm going to go to Florida. So I'm not even joking. I booked an Airbnb right then that second at 7:00 at night. And I left about 8:30 and just started driving to fucking Florida. Just completely random. This fucking trip. You did get the text. I did call you too.
Call.
Yeah. And Beaver was clinically depressed because our Florida trip this year got canceled, and I didn't tell him that I was going to Florida, or that I planned a trip to Florida, because that's it, Beaver. I didn't plan a trip to Florida. I just left. And it was one of the best, honestly, one of the best ideas I've ever had in my life. And if you get spontaneous ideas, I think you should ever take them. So I literally drove until I could not keep my fucking eyes open anymore that night. End up just north of Atlanta, drove about 7 hours, made it till about 4 a.m. Didn't fall asleep till about 5 a.m. Got up at 8 a.m. for work because I still hadn't even told my boss that I left the state yet. So called my boss and said, hey, by the way, I'm working a half day today because I got to drive the rest of the way to Florida, which he was completely cool with it. He understood why I did it, blah, blah, blah. So I slept on I got 3 hours of sleep and drove 15 hours, finally made it to Florida around 7 p.m. And I tell you what, man, this Airbnb I got, Rob, because you ended up meeting up with me like 2 days later. What it looked like it was in a fucking safari.
Yeah.
Literally.
They could have definitely upkept it a little bit better.
Yeah,
Unless
no
that's
grass.
The way they were going.
Yeah, they wanted this place to look like it was in the middle of a forest.
In the yard. I mean, in the driveway, there was down palm trees and branches.
Let's put it this way. When I opened the door for the first time, I was fully expecting for somebody to touch my butthole without permission. You know, that was, I was like, I'm definitely getting raped.
And then we never bought or did anything with the fucking mini half pipe that I cleaned off myself.
Yeah, so we had so that was a cool thing. I noticed in the backyard they had a half pipe for a skateboard, full concrete half pipe. Like, so this guy's got some money, okay? And the whole reason I got the place is it has a hot tub. Got in the hot tub twice the entire week. Twice.
Yeah.
Just because we were out and about doing shit, getting drunk, doing our thing, whatever it may be. But so first day, pretty uneventful. I just rode out to the fucking bay on my bike. Enjoyed it. It was great. Next day, Tuesday, by the way, I did take my computer, so I actually fucking worked down there, which was cool and not cool because it kind of constricted me to a schedule. So if I knew that I had to be back,
ma'am, I have the wrong phone number.
Yeah, that happened a lot.
99% of your fucking calls was that.
By the way, they finally got my list fixed because they gave me a shitty list, and basically everybody I was calling had no idea what I was asking for. So Rob sit there and stared at me for 8 hours a day while I made phone calls. And
sorry, ma'am, I must have the wrong number. Fuck me.
Horrible. Yeah. So that first day there, I really didn't do anything too exciting. Just kind of took the bike out. Eventually drove down to Fort Myers and hung out with Trey. And
then you got the word that I was coming down.
Got the word that you were coming down. But when I went to hang out with Trey, we went to this little like private club down in Fort Myers. And the Moose Lodge. Within 5 minutes of being there, Trey's mouthing off to a biker, one of the members. I was like, oh great, we're gonna get in a fucking brawl. Right here, Trey's talking, because they were talking about. Trey asked him what kind of bike he had, and Trey mislabeled it, I guess. And this guy smarted off to him, and Trey's just kind of short tempered and doesn't take to being smarted off to real well. And then it set off. But it was interesting, and at the time I didn't really appreciate it as much. I did get hooked up with some medical marijuana that night, so it wasn't a complete lost cause. But it was just there was very few people in the bar. It was like the first night the bars were officially open, or second night. It was the Tuesday, so second night bars were officially open, and was very uneventful. Just listening to some music, chilled out, drank some beers, but had a good time too, catching up with Trey and just being down there. Got home at like 2 a.m, woke up the next day, and voila, I got told that my ginger friend was coming to meet me. So the next day, my goal was to just get up early, hit the phones hard, and I went and picked Rob up at the airport. And then just the mayhem started. We went straight to a brewery. I didn't work for the rest of the day. Went straight to a brewery. Brewery got fucked up. And
I'm 0 for 26.
So we got to tell you. So the first thing that we really did, Rob, once we kind of got together, other than going to the brewery, is we rented a bike, or you rented a bike, because I brought my bicycle down there. And my whole thing was like, I just want to go there, ride my bike next to the beach, and get high on the ocean. That was like
an electric bike at that I didn't have to do shit on.
So this motherfucker gets an electric bike while I'm pedaling my dick off. And at one point we crossed this bridge, and I mean, I'm seriously, you're going up like a fucking 45-degree angle, up like 200 feet, then down a 45-degree angle the next. And if you're out of shape like I am, pedaling on a bike, it's not good. And this fucking jackass has a motor.
I was looking back at him, full throttle. What's up, bro?
I'm fucking struggling. I got the marijuana lung, fucking huffing and puffing. I'm, it was awful. It was awful. But we rode down to the beach. It was beautiful. I don't know if Siesta Key's like the capital of fucking thong bikinis, but Rob, can you describe the scenery that was there?
Bam.
I mean, fucking everywhere.
Oh
everywhere.
My God.
Beautiful women everywhere.
The best one was probably still that tan Greek goddess that we saw stepping out of the ocean.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Oh my God.
Fabio.
He was fucking amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Rob really got to know him. He sucked his dick that night. It was fantastic.
Yeah. I was like, hey, Fabio, you got a little feta cheese under your balls. I'll get it.
But I mean,
kiss at the sunset. Watch sunset.
No, I think we might have held hands at one point, though. I don't remember. We're gonna get to that. The most epic sunset was our last night there, because I was video calling everybody and just I was fucked up.
I think it was the second night I was there. The thunderstorm.
Thunderstorm was badass.
The
yeah,
lightning storm sunset was the best sunset we saw.
For sure. But I'm saying, as far as the events, our last night there was
the most fun one was the last one, yeah.
We were rooting for tornadoes back here, by the way. We almost had one when you were gone.
I was so pissed.
It's an Alanis Morissette song. If a tornado would have ripped through Morristown.
Yeah.
That's
not Alanis Morissette. Yeah, but I'm just saying that's what would be playing. That would be playing in my head. Yeah.
Ironic, yeah.
You're fired.
Isn't it ironic?
Yeah, so that we ended up going to a bar. We went to a Mexican restaurant that night, bro, and just got fucking sloshed. But I think the funniest thing that happened that night is after we returned the bike back to the guy. So describe the scene here. This guy basically rents bikes out of his house, okay? Yeah. So we called him, and he said, hey, I'll be back at the house at this time. You can come by and rent the bike for a few hours. We bring it back. It's about 8:30, 9 o'clock at this point. And he starts talking, a conversation with us, sees that we're cool people, and asks us if we want to party. And as I slapped his nose, he said he knew a guy.
Tag him in the video.
Oh, are you friends on Facebook now or what?
Yeah, we are.
Yes, let's go. Let's go. So this guy tried to sell us cocaine. He eventually got me hooked up on some.
He eventually got me hooked on it, but
not on cocaine.
We went to his house.
Yeah, describe
5 lines each.
Yeah, describe the scene of his closet, Rob, when you opened his closet.
Oh my God! So he said he was like, I walked in to get Matt's was it
the weed pen?
Yeah,
the cartridge.
The pen.
Yeah,
the cartridge. And he opens up his closet. He was like, bro, weed is my game. Fucking,
and it's
a shit ton of fucking mason jars from top to bottom. full of different types of fucking weed, all labeled. I was like, what the fuck?
This guy is
the weed empire.
You talking about living his best life? Living his best life. He rents bikes out of his garage and sells weed out of his bedroom. I'm so jealous of this motherfucker.
I would say, dang,
I
you
told
go
him,
to
I was
weed
like, dude,
college?
you're living the life. I told him, I'm like, you're living the life, bro. He was like, dude, you know it.
In my head, I'm picturing Dante off of Grandma's Boy.
No, this. Well, yeah, maybe.
Real tan and
no, he looked like
real tan. Yeah.
Real tan. Of course, he lived in Florida, but if I could describe, he looked like, if you remember what Danny off of Meet the Parents looks like, the main chick's brother, like up in his claw or up in the fucking attic smoking weed, looked just like that dude with a tan.
Was his ass tanner than Rob's face?
Yeah.
Rob, you have to answer that question. You were closer to his butthole than I was.
Yeah, I had to give Matt a discount on the pen, so I licked his butthole.
He did. He sucked his dick too. You didn't have to suck his dick, but you did that just as a favor to him. That was nice.
Yeah, I was like, this is just personal to me. The butthole licking is for Matt.
And we went to this Mexican restaurant there by the ocean, and it was incredible. Had a burrito, and I was so fucked up at this point. It was the greatest thing I've ever tasted in my life.
Yeah. The next day, you didn't even remember we went there.
I know that was my
You're
bad.
like, did we take tequila shots last night? Yeah,
but
Matt, we took tequila shots.
The most eventful day for Rob was the next day, the Thursday, because I decided same thing. I was going to get all my work done super early. We took off and went to Clewiston, later in the day after lunch, after I kind of finished everything with work, had a meeting, blah, blah, blah. Left for Clewiston. So Clewiston is the southern tip of Okeechobee Lake. It's where my grandma and grandpa moved after my grandpa retired from GM. So I used to go down here all the time as a kid. Go out on Lake Okeechobee with my grandpa. I just remember very fond memories, and it's crazy. We tried to find my grandma and grandpa's old house for memory, and we went to the same spot but the wrong neighborhood. And I was so confused why I couldn't find the house. And eventually, my cousin still lives there in Clewiston, so got to go hang out with him. But just kind of went around the city to reminisce a little bit. And it's so funny because my grandpa was very against complete old school, thinks pot is dangerous type of guy. And I went out on the dock where Grandpa used to put his boat in and take a couple hits. And I was like, this is for you, Grandpa. And it was just very ironic because my grandpa was very anti-marijuana.
And you were waiting for the lightning bolt.
Oh, shit. That was
down.
Dude, huge lightning. There was lightning.
Grandpa.
Yeah, I was like waiting for lightning to strike because there's a huge lightning storm going on. And I was like, no, I have to get this footage. I bought the GoPro camera. I was like, I got to get this footage. So I went out there on the dock, decided to hit the pin a couple times, and there's a huge lightning storm. I was convinced I was going to get struck by lightning, but it didn't happen.
So you didn't end up in the middle of the lake, like stuck in a sailboat and couldn't get no wind, and then you said something, and then the wind came.
No,
your grandpa blew the wind.
No, I'd probably get eaten by an alligator. I remember being a kid, like 7 years old, being out in that lake, or we'd be fishing.
Tommy boy.
Yeah, I mean, you would just look 5 feet in front of you, and there'd be a fucking alligator laying on a log. I mean, like it's not shit you see in Indiana. It's just I have so many memories down there that I remember. Like I almost remembered how to get to my grandparents' house. I mean, that's how vividly I remember this place. And
I think it was in the right spot, just wrong neighborhood.
Wrong neighborhood. It was like the next neighborhood over. And
I mean, literally everything your grandma said matched up with the neighborhood we were in.
Yeah, because I was trying to find the house, so I eventually called my grandma, who's 79, bless her heart, and couldn't. Her details were a little. It'd been 20 years since she lived there. But she's like, you'll see the mailboxes. You'll go around a curve. I'm like, yeah, we did all that. Still can't see it. And
everything matched up.
It's funny. And it was next to the Jolly Roger Marina. And I went in this place because my grandpa used to work there. We used to go there to get minnows before we go on the lake to go fishing. Because I'm talking, you could catch bass that were 2 feet long in this fucking lake. I mean, they're huge bass and make Indiana's bass, look like minnows. So you got to actually fish with minnows down there. But I go in this place and I'm telling this guy, my grandpa used to work here, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And this guy just did not get why I was so excited to be there at all, did he, Rob? He's so confused.
Well, when you told him, you're like, yeah, my grandpa used to work here. And then you walked off to the bait side of the store.
And he's like, shaking.
I could just see his face. He was like this. So?
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck? I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I work here now. What the fuck you want?
Yeah.
Who cares? I don't care.
Hey, I'm gonna get this redhead to swallow a minnow later. So could I get some of those? Then the whole point of going there was golfing, but of course it got fucking rained out, so we didn't get a golf. But we did go.
Wow. Come on.
We did go and steal some golf balls from the driving range and hit some fucking golf balls. And Rob's swing needs a little work. We're gonna work on that a little bit, unfortunately. But that night,
some extensions.
Yeah, it's very ironic.
Hey, my last hit was pretty good.
Decent. It went straight about 27 feet. It was good.
You're definitely, if you're
30.
using just club that you bought, you need extensions.
Yeah,
30
for sure.
feet. 30 feet, man. Come on.
You don't swing your driver like you're swinging a pitching wedge.
Well, just wait till I get done editing this video, because it's phenomenal. Like, as far as like you to see, I'm actually to the part where I'm editing the golf shit right now, and so it's ironic that my cousin lives on Hooker's Point, because as soon as we got, he lives on Hooker's Point, because as soon as we got back to the Airbnb that night, Rob was getting a little frisky. I was like, hey, Rob, I'm going to go watch the end of The Last Dance here. Whatever you decide to do, you decide to do. Because Rob was doing a little internet shopping, a little window shopping that night.
We drank pretty good that night, too.
Yeah, we did. We got in the hot tub for a little bit.
We were on the beach, too. And that was the night with the thunderstorms.
The funniest thing is the hot tub's made for 2 people, but as soon as Rob got in, the water started going overflowing. So we had to fucking get a bunch of the water out of the hot tub. Yeah, and
I'm a fat piece of shit ginger. We know.
Exactly. And you know, when you get in a hot tub, you drink in a hot tub, it's tenfold. So you were completely hammered. I just remember getting a text around 12:30 at night. I'm in my room nestled away. I'd probably watched porn 2 or 3 times by this point. I get a question from Rob. He's like, hey, if you come out here, my name's not Rob. And I'm like, okay. But what do you want me to call you? John? Robert? You know, like,
did you
Jesus.
go out there?
No, I did not go out there. I did listen for the hooker to come to the door, and it was probably no, I didn't look. It could have been Rob could have fucked a dude for all I know.
No.
But I did hear her leave about 4. I did hear her leave about 4 minutes later.
34 double D's.
Describe her, Rob, in detail here.
She's about 5'6", brunette, hair down to about probably the middle of her back. 34 double D's.
Nice.
Some nice, not fat but muscular legs. You know, like fit.
Yep.
Yeah. And
so you had a good time. It was a good purchase.
Yeah, she was a good kid.
How would Trump feel if he knew you spent your fucking stimulus check on a hooker?
Grab him by the pussy.
That's stimulating the economy right there. I tell you what. So that was our last night in the Airbnb, and the next day is when really, honestly, our best day, because we decided to get a fucking hotel on the beach. It was beautiful. Literally, we're 100 yards from the beach. So same thing. I got all my work done. As soon as I got done with my work that day, we started slamming beers. We kind of had it in us that we're going to get absolutely obliterated today, and we're going to end the night on the beach and just see what fucking happens.
That was my one priority that morning. Find the liquor store, Robert.
Yes, I said, hey, Rob, while I'm working, you got
was like the hardest thing to find where the fuck we were.
Yeah, because everything was fucking closed down and GPS was wrong.
The first place was a bait shop.
I think your first priority
we used to be
get some penicillin.
They were like,
I definitely took.
We used to be a liquor store.
Right in the
now we're a bait shop.
Yeah,
and then the next place was so fucking crowded, I couldn't find a spot to park.
Yeah, we do have to. I just want to cue off Duncan's point because I forgot to ask a very valid question about the hooker. Did you shower afterwards?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. Okay, keep going.
While you were gone getting snacks, I was showering.
That's right. I did go get snacks. I got the munchies at like 2 a.m.
You're like, I'm hungry, Robert. I'm leaving. Came back with a full bag of Doritos and some ice cream.
If you didn't see it, it'd be funny if you didn't see her and you went to get snacks and you picked her up for free and brought her back.
Yeah, Rob. I just went and met this chick named Brianna. I told Rob. I told Rob how funny would it be if while she's in there having sex with him, if I text her and I say, hey, I'm looking to meet up, and I just give her the same address and pretend like I have no idea she's fucking my friend. Oh yeah, that would have been hilarious. Absolutely.
She actually gave me a $50 discount because she felt sorry because I was a ginger.
That's very polite of her.
She did? Is that true?
Yeah.
That really is true?
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna go to Florida and dye my hair red then. Jesus.
She's like, I don't get. I have never been with a ginger. She's like, here's $50 off. Just give me this.
Do you think she'll fuck another ginger after having sex with you, or?
I don't know. Probably not.
Did she call it the soulless discount?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think she got off, Rob?
I wish.
You don't think she got off at all?
She didn't get off. No.
Dude, she was laying there like the hooker on He Got Game.
It was like,
she was like this.
Yeah, more daddy.
She's like this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Your big red dick is doing something.
Did you have her say shit like that?
No, she was saying that.
If I ever get to the point where I have to get a hooker, I'm making her say some weird shit to me. That's all I'm gonna say. Even if I got to pay extra for it.
Tell me how my Squidward dick feels.
But yeah, tell me you're my fucking whore. You know, just shit like that. It'd be funny. It's hilarious. But the last day, so we got the place on the beach. We got fucking hammered. We went all about. We checked out all of Lido Beach, which, by the way, cool ass place. It's got like a figure 8 of bars. We decided to have like a shot at every bar. And we
were the life at every bar.
We were the life at every bar. And it's unfortunate for the race relations in this country because we literally witnessed an Irish guy literally from Ireland drop the N-word in the middle of a public bar, and we were like completely astounded. It ruined all of our fun that night.
Which you should have got his Facebook information.
Yeah, because we talked about being on the podcast, and I think you were wearing the podcast shirt, and he would have been an electric guest until he dropped the N-bomb. Yeah, I agree.
He would have been amazing.
But yeah, took over every bar, got completely shit-faced, went back to the ocean. Me and Rob made out next to the ocean. And Beaver, I do got to tell you something funny. So I'm drunk as shit at this point and a little emotional, not like crying emotional, but like, hey, I'm going to share this sunset with random fucking people emotional. So I start video calling people and like just showing them the sunset. Well, I start calling like my ex-girlfriend, okay? And we're friends now. Her name's Katie. She did live in Virginia at one point. So I was like, I'll call her old cell phone number just to see, because she actually lives in Florida now. So I was like, I'll call her and just see if she still has the same number. So I call her, and this random girl answers the phone, video chatting, and she's holding a bong, doesn't say a word, and just starts
still Snapchatting her, are you?
Yeah, we're Snapchatting right now, back and forth. She lives in Virginia. But she's sitting there with the fucking bong and just starts taking bong rips. So I just randomly called this girl that I thought was my ex-girlfriend. This other girl answers, and she's just fucking ripping bong rips. Yeah.
And Matt's like, Rob, pack your shit up. We're going to West Virginia.
Yeah, we're going to West Virginia.
Yeah. He did say that. When we got in Atlanta, that town above Chattanooga, you were like this. Bro, after this, we might just take a trip to fucking West Virginia.
Might just take to him.
Rocky Mountain, West Virginia.
Matt's frozen.
Just
Like
start
a
calling.
little bitch.
I think honestly, did I call all you guys too that night?
What?
Thank you.
You froze for like 30
Yeah,
seconds.
I was just describing the situation there, Rob. You
What
get
was
it.
your question?
My question is, I think Rob, you were with me, but I definitely called you, Duncan.
Yeah, I didn't pick up.
Beaver hasn't said a word this podcast, and I think he's still upset I didn't take him to Florida. Is that true or false?
That's false.
My voice or FaceTime don't work on my iPhone. I don't know what setting I have off or what I need to do, but it never will do the video thing. I can't get it to work.
The iPad.
Matt, speaking of not talking, the kayak trip.
Yeah, I was going to get to that.
Oh, my God.
Well, the next day, probably the actual official last day, not the last night, but the last day we had in Florida, we went to this park, which I completely recommend to everybody. If you want to get up and close with an alligator with no wherewithal at all, like nobody gives a fuck that you're literally 5 feet from an alligator. You got to.
They're just filming it.
Just filming at Myakka State Park. You can literally rent canoes, get out there with the alligators. Me and Rob were on a bank where an alligator's just staring, waiting to fucking eat us.
You're like 2 feet above me. I'm right there on the fucking water line.
I filmed this thing and I sent it to my mother. I said, I'm getting ready to be eaten by an alligator. But the good thing is we're faster on land than them. And I'm pretty sure that I can outrun Rob. So at the very least, if an alligator does jump out, all I have to do is outrun Rob. I'll be fine. So yeah, it's completely cool. Then we drove up to Kentucky. I drove as far as I could that night. And
come on. You got to add to the story when the big ass alligator turned around and started coming towards us.
Yeah, I said that.
You backed up like 5 feet.
Yeah, because that motherfucker was 2 feet from us.
Stood there like, what's up?
I'm like, I'm not. Hey, you know what? I'll get close to it, but I ain't gonna wrestle the bastard. I was fucked up at that point.
You just sat there for like the entire time we were there.
Yeah, just chilling.
When we went up, that's when he just swam off.
Yeah. He was ready. He's ready.
He's gone now.
He's ready to eat your big ass. I was going to let him. But I drove as far as I could drive that night. We ended up staying at a hotel in Tennessee. The next day, we convinced Beaver to drive down because my whole plan before I decided to go to Florida, we were going to that Saturday, go to this place in Kentucky where you can kayak through like an old mine. Like it was a flooded mine and you can actually take kayaks to it. It's pretty sweet. So we decided, why not hit that on the way home? We ended up going Sunday. Beaver met us down and didn't say a single fucking word the entire time he was with us. Even though, Beaver, I got to call you out. You're always bitching that we don't invite you out anywhere. Well, we don't know you're available. I haven't seen you in 2 fucking years, it seems like. So like you got to put yourself out there. And then when you do finally get a chance to hang out with us, maybe ask us how we're doing, maybe joking around. I had everybody convinced. I told one family because Beaver was visibly angry at us. I told one family that Beaver was Russian and didn't speak English, and he's kind of just. I told another family that his puppy just died, so he's real super sad. Like,
I bet he was thrilled.
Yeah. Oh, Beaver was pissed. Absolutely. But I got when we got this, we got in the cave. It was badass, but completely bitch black. It was completely pitch black, and I'm an experienced kayaker, so I kind of told the guys, I said, "Listen, I'm kind of very experienced. I was in the Boy Scouts,
Big kayaker.
Big kayaker myself." But I told this guy, I said, I'm gonna paddle around and kind of do my thing a little bit. I said, I'm not gonna lose a group, but.
AKA, I'm gonna go over here and hit my fucking weed.
Yep. I would go front to back, kind of circle around people. Then I would back up into these little what's it called? A cave, just like these little dark holes in the cave, and hit my pin. And Rob would hear me giggling, and Rob would just start cracking up because he knew what I was doing. Then a few times
Should I play Fleetwood Mac in the fucking cavern?
Oh, it would just be my moment.
Dude, I mean, it was funny because I would definitely know when we would all be silent And then Matt would just be like, I was like, oh my God.
And I'm convinced
I
the
know
guy.
what's going on.
And I'm convinced that the guide in front of our tour knew what was going on too. Because I was at one point I blew a huge smoke cloud out and I said, "Wow, I could see my breath." Because it was cold as shit in there. It was like 50 degrees in that motherfucker. The water was 40 degrees.
The water was fucking freezing.
And they had fish in that fucking thing that were 2 feet long. It was huge.
Blind. Remember that? They were blind too.
Yeah, blind because there's no light in the cavern at all.
Yeah.
And I did pass the pen off to you a few times, Rob, which was pretty.
You did.
Because you were right in front of the guide, and I just would come up to you and say, here you go. Hit this, you pass it back.
The first time I was like, hey Matt, get the fuck up here.
And I would go back in a dark cave and fucking hit the pin again. And
here you go, Rob. Here's a bag.
I tell you what, it was a great trip.
Literally when I was hitting the pin, I hit the guy with the lead guy. I hit his fucking boat.
You kept hitting the wall too. Rob
I hit his boat when I was hitting the pin. I was like, oh shit.
Rob
hit definitely see this.
Wait, how many times did you run to the cave wall too? Like 2 or 3 times.
Sorry. Yeah, 2 or 3 times.
And I was giving you massive shit, but
I mean, dude, how that shit felt when you were just laid back and look up.
It was incredible.
It looked like you were looking up at the stars and you're just floating through space.
You're in a frozen cave. Yeah, it was cool as shit. And I must say, guys, if you get a chance to take a spontaneous trip, do it. If being locked in your fucking house for 2 months taught me anything, I'm gonna be almost like a yes man, like the movie with Jim Carrey where he just says fucking yes to everything. Like that's how I feel right now about life. I'm just gonna do everything. And and I did. COVID's over. The riots have started, so the coronavirus is over. So I did my first wedding this weekend, and just like you motherfuckers have been joking this entire time, I pulled out the line. As soon as the wedding party was being announced, I said, we've been locked in our house for 2 months. So I want you motherfuckers, I didn't say motherfuckers, but I want you guys to act like you've been locked in your house for 2 months and make some noise because the virus is over. It's time to start the party. And the place erupted. And it was a great wedding back. Those motherfuckers danced for 5 straight hours. So it was awesome.
Especially the white dude that could not save the pussy for all of us.
Oh my God. He was amazing. What were you going to say, Duncan?
No, that's what I was going to say.
Oh, about the white dude? Fucking
old buddy with the flannel tucked in, dude. He's getting it, man.
Electric, man. If he didn't get laid, I was going to go gay if he didn't get laid that night. But I think how did you not get laid? I just want to take that guy to like 8 seconds. I don't even like 8 seconds, but just take him, watch him line dance for 2 hours, and play his wingman.
Have you ever been to ASAC? You've been there, I'm sure. But have you been like
for concerts? Yeah.
But you've been on like rock concerts, right? Jacqueline shit. Yeah. Shit there.
No.
There's a neon. They call him like Neon Cowboy or something like that. He's there every weekend, and he's a line dancing, rhinestone suit motherfucker. You need to take him and have him battle that guy. Dude.
I'm in. I'm all about it. Let's go. So the first wedding back was amazing. So here we are, an hour and 15 minutes of the show. And I guess we'll talk about a few things that are going on. First and foremost, have you guys seen Have a Nice Trip or Have a Good Trip on Netflix yet?
Nope. I'm watching Space Force.
You have to watch Have a Good Trip. It's all about psychedelics, and it's basically a bunch of people telling about their psychedelic experiences. And all about
documentary.
What's that?
I'd go on that. How
about the Bernstein documentary?
Talk about Metallica 1.
Yeah, I'd go on that shit.
Talk about your experience. It was basically talking. Go ahead.
No, you keep talking about your show. I thought you were done talking about your.
No, I was just gonna say how like everybody talks about how they take a psychedelic and it completely changes their outlook on life.
It does.
Just like. To the point, like, where I think we should just do a show where we all do DMT.
In the desert, in the middle of the desert.
We were gonna do DMT on the beach.
Yeah, we said if we got the chance to do DMT on the beach, it was probably
mine's in the middle of the desert.
Why the desert? Just so you can see the stars, or what?
I want middle of the desert overnight, like on Entourage. I don't want nothing around, nothing, no human in it, nothing.
What I'm picturing is me, like me and you doing this together, and I have to stop you from fucking a cactus.
I probably haven't. I've been watching History 101 on Netflix.
Oh, I've been wanting to check it out. Is it cool?
It's pretty good. I've learned more than I learned in 12 years of high school.
I'm wanting to watch the Epstein documentary.
I need to watch that too.
I can't get past the Chomo stuff, dude. It's like
I can't watch the Chomo stuff.
Yeah,
that's like that kid beating documentary. That was rough to watch. Like we talked about the trials of Gabriel Hernandez. We talked about in the show, but it was almost painful to watch. Like it was.
Hidden Gems hit Netflix. You need to check that out.
Hidden Gems.
Really yeah.
Okay.
Adam Sandler
the
really good.
Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, I heard. Isn't like 3 hours long?
It gives me I get little sweats when I watch it, dude.
Is it a good movie?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Real good movie. I heard it's like his best movie.
It's a role that you've never
picture him doing,
and he knocks it out of the park.
2 hours and 14 minutes, Matt.
The Wrong Missy was pretty funny too. The David Spade.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Oh my god,
laughed pretty hard. I mean, it's kind of cheaply Netflix movie-ish, but there are parts. There are parts.
He's texting her. Yeah, I want to ride your cock all weekend. He's like, what the fuck from this fashion model? She wants to do this?
And she's like, I want to see that dick.
Yeah.
So
it ended up being the wrong fucking one. That's the fucking hilarious part.
Hey,
Beaver,
don't give the movie away.
Beaver's wearing an Indiana Pacers jersey. Are you excited about potentially returning to the NBA on July 31st? And how do you guys feel about going 3 months without sports, knowing that this never should have happened? Like we should be
knowing that they're gonna open it up at Disney World of all fucking places.
I mean, I love
why there? That's the thing. Why there?
It's a giant place that they can keep fucking 300 fucking basketball players.
Exactly, Beaver.
Yeah, it's a place to help out.
Good call, Beaver. That is true. ESPN is owned by Disney. Is owned by Disney. So that's why. Good point, Beaver.
Well, I know they're owned by Disney, but the NBA isn't owned by Disney.
Yeah, but the NBA has a partnership with ESPN.
Yeah, exactly.
ESPN, ABC, all that good shit.
Yeah, I guess Fight Island is going to happen too. And do you guys understand that the UFC card that happened 2 weekends ago was the highest bet UFC card of all time? Because you got all these fucking gamblers, compulsive gamblers, just sitting at home, Beaver, Dunkman, just begging to fucking bet on something. You got betting on water polo and fucking wiener dog racing.
Cricket.
I didn't fall into that, man. I would get the email every week, and I never did.
Bet on paddleball.
That's the only bets I made.
Korean League baseball, whatever.
It was
I never did it.
The most heavily bet UFC card in history. That's pretty incredible. It was a great night of fights too. Great night of fights. Did you win money? You lost a lot of money. I think there was a lot of upsets that night, if I remember correctly.
I honestly don't remember. Last night I came out around even. Woodley fucked me.
Speaking of losses, who took the loss in the Luda Nelly battle? We got to talk about that a little bit. Nelly bad?
I mean, he had he was on fucking dial-up internet, dude. His shit kept cutting out.
He had internet like you, Matt.
Luda, yeah, kind of like you. He must have been in more.
So he either lives in a far suburb, rural town, or he's broke now, like most rappers from the 90s.
30 minutes free discs.
Say it again, Rob.
You're
talking over people.
AOL.
Like I'm doing to you.
Yeah, you can't. You cannot. You can't talk over people on Zoom.
Free discs.
He did it again.
I'm actually really impressed. Doug Man has completely turned over a new leaf, and he does not interrupt anybody now because he knows he can't with this program. I'm impressed. It's okay.
Until Matt
got to end with the
walks
Florida
out.
man. I'm back. End of every episode, we got to end with the Florida man. It's of course, I go straight to Google, type in a Florida man, whatever pops up. We're going to talk about it. So Florida man kills girlfriend, then drives to Orlando for a weekend, or an armed Florida man charged with driving into George Floyd protesters.
Jesus Christ.
Or he stalked. Actually, you know what? Let's do something different, Rob. We're just going to nominate our bike rental guy as the Florida man, because you asked, Duncan, you actually asked when I called you on my way to Florida. I said, you need to find a real life Florida man. We did. We found one because he was high as fuck when he sold the bike to us and he tried to sell us drugs.
Let me go on Snapchat and find out what his name is.
Yeah. And lo and behold, we found a live Florida man down in Florida. He fits the description, does a lot of drugs, does some crazy shit, probably has some money too.
Derek Wilson.
Derek Wilson is the Florida man this week. He was incredible.
Derek Wilson.
And Beaver, I'm all in. I'm completely convinced the ocean is my zen, so I'm all in on buying a rental property down there, turning it into an Airbnb, and we can go to Florida whenever the fuck we want.
I'm gonna go on the page and I'm gonna tag his Snapchat code into the comments.
Just tag him on the show. Just tell him he's in. Hey, you are a big part of our show today. We want you to.
What's that? Emergency alert.
Oh, cool. We're being rioted again. All right, well, guys, hey, appreciate you coming out. Listen to Highly Inappropriate. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. Check us out on Spotify if you still use a fucking Android phone. Make sure you like this video, comment on the video, share the video, subscribe to our page on YouTube. Follow us on social media. We're on Twitter and Instagram /Highly Inappropriate Podcast. Duncan, you're raising your hand. Go ahead and talk there, buddy.
And never forget, if you're feeling down and blue, you can always take a spontaneous trip to Florida and get a hooker.
Yes, and get a hooker. Thanks for listening to Highly Inappropriate, guys. Peace out.
Hi, Michael Britt.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Mike.